Back in the late 1840s, there was the gold rush. Tens of thousands of people streaming from all over North America to the golden shores of California in search for gold. And there are so many incredible stories that happened and so many horrible stories that happened. But one of the stories that is a true story that happened of a caravan on their way west is the story of a God-fearing man who was elected as captain over his caravan to lead them on a 3 months journey, give or take. And when he was elected, they said he was the pillar of the church. Of course, he was a young man, and there was another young man in the group who was not such a God-fearing man, but he was just a strong man and prideful, and as usual, you got two young men, they're gonna fight over authority, and of course there was a young, pretty woman in the caravan, and they both wanted to marry her. Nevertheless, the people were mostly church people, so they elected this guy who was from the church as captain, and they started out, traveling for 6 days, and then the seventh day comes up. Of course, he didn't know it was Shabbat, he thought it was Sunday. But nevertheless, he had genuine faith, so I'll give him slack. He wanted the people to rest. He said, well, we've been traveling for 6 days, today is the seventh day, we're gonna rest. And everybody started protesting. What do you mean rest? We have 3 months ahead of us. We got thousands of miles to travel. There are already tens of thousands of people ahead of us. We gotta get there and get our gold. We can't afford to take a day off. If we take a day off every 7 days, each day is like 30 miles of traveling. We cannot afford that. And of course the other young man said, that's it, I'm taking over. Anybody that wants to come with me, I'll be your captain. And like 80% of the caravan left, because they didn't want to rest. They wanted to push. 7 days a week, we don't have time to rest. We gotta get to that gold. Well, one man was after God, another was after gold. So the caravan split, and the young woman with her old aging father, well, they went with the other guy that didn't want to rest. Because, well, the old man, he doesn't have much time, he wants to get to California as soon as possible. And as you can probably guess, the caravan that traveled 7 days a week got into all kinds of troubles. The elderly started getting sick and tired, and eventually the father died after a month and a half, and the other old people started dying, and the children started getting sick because the animals got tired. The cows were not producing any milk because they were always on the move, always on the go, and it was not going well for them. Meanwhile, hundreds of miles behind were the other people who rested on every seventh day. And then there was a little post office station, and the woman in the first caravan left a message for the man from the second caravan, because they were both friends with her, both of those two young men, and both wanted to marry her. So she said, well, my father's dead. When we get to that gold place, I'm gonna marry this guy. Now, the second guy, the one that stayed behind, that wanted to observe the Shabbat, he got a fit of rage. That's not, no, I can't let my girl marry this man. And he was struggling with himself because he wanted to honor God and rest on the seventh day, as was the law, the instruction, the word of God. But he said, well, if I ride alone on a horse, I can catch up with them. So, well, came the Shabbat, Sunday for them, but he deserted the camp at night and went out. And the Lord had a little surprise for him, because as he was riding out through some mountainous terrain, lo and behold, a little avalanche came right in front of him, blocked his way, and almost killed him. He got the message all right, and to his credit, he repented. So he started riding back, came there the following day, and everybody in his caravan were happy to see him. Where did you go? Did you go scouting? He goes, no, I deserted. You deserted? On the Sabbath? Well, see, everybody in life gets tested to see if your faith is sincere and if God really is your be-all, end-all. Because it's very easy to pretend when you have nothing on the line, nothing to lose, that you love the Lord. But when things get rough and tough, that's the real testing. Read the book of Job. And you can just see, at least I can, the adversary working behind the scenes accusing this man. See, the first group, the one that went ahead, they were not God-fearers. They didn't belong to the Lord, so it doesn't really matter what they do, and the Lord was not doing anything to chastise or discipline them because they didn't belong to him. But this man was a God-fearing man, and he wanted to strictly stay to the law. He said, neither you nor your sons, your daughter, nor your animals do any work on the Sabbath day. You are to rest. And he wanted to do that, but then his problem was the woman. See, the first guy's problem was the gold. Well, what do you mean rest? We got gold to get. I'm not gonna sit here and let other people get my gold. For the second guy, it was the woman. As soon as he heard she was gonna get married to this guy, he was like, well, I can't stay behind like this. I gotta go and get her. And he violated God's Shabbat for the sake of the woman. And the Lord, out of his grace and mercy, didn't kill him, but gave him quite a warning, standing in this avalanche towards him, all these rocks. And he came back and told the group, God spoke to me and he turned me around. And the people were praising God. It's like, well, I'm going to stick to the law, be what may be. And lo and behold, the first caravan that went ahead of them got into some serious trouble with some Indians, and some of them died and the rest got sick, and they had to stop now for a few days and rest and recover and heal. And while they were resting, the second caravan caught up with them because they didn't have any sickness to deal with. They were not attacked by Indians. They had plenty of milk, plenty of food, plenty of everything. Because the Lord was with them. Because they honored his Shabbat. And they caught up, and the first caravan's like, how did you catch up with us? Well, we didn't have all the troubles that you had. We rested every 7 days. But the Lord made a way, so when we were actually on the path, we made much more progress than you did. And we are rested, we're not exhausted, our animals are healthy and strong, we are all refreshed, because we actually followed the instructions. And then, of course, the other young guy humbled himself, which was beautiful to see a man humbles himself. He said, well, you be the captain, I get out of the way, you marry that woman, you're the leader. Because you are the man of God. He followed the instruction. And it was the most beautiful thing to see. And you can see how real this story is. Now, I've watched it on a show on YouTube that, documents these kind of stories from the Death Valley days. It's a true story, though. And you can apply that to our everyday life, can't we? We are being tested constantly to see whether you obey or not. And that's what the Lord told Israel in Devarim chapter 8. I have afflicted you in the desert 40 years to see what is within your heart, whether you will obey or not. The word torment, discipline, affliction, it all means the same thing. He wants to see whether we will obey regardless of the consequence. And that's what the moral of the story is. Sometimes, when you sacrifice for the Lord, he compensates you, brings it back to you like he did with Abraham. Abraham, bring me your son, Yitzchak. Now you can have him back. Sometimes he delivers you from the fire. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. We will not bow even if our God does not save us. They were thrown in the fire and saved from the fire. Daniel in the lion's den. But then again, sometimes he doesn't. Because if he always did, then what would be the purpose of faith? That's how you get the Job complex, where the adversary accused him. Oh, he only serves you because of all of your blessing. Take away his wealth, take away his health, take away his children, and see if he doesn't curse you to your face. That was the devil's accusation against Job. And the Lord's like, well, let's see. Go ahead and do everything you said, but don't kill him. And the adversary did. His children died, his flocks died, everything was stolen, the roof collapsed on his children, he got really sick. But he held to his integrity because his servitude of the Lord was not based on any of these things. It was based on the fact that the Lord is God, and he gave me the breath of life, and I am his servant. Should we accept the good and not the bad, he said? So sometimes it is going to cost you. Now, in the story of Job, he too was compensated at the end and got much more than he had before. But not everybody do. Many people die at the stake. Many people are burnt alive. Many people are thrown into the lions. Many people, you give a donation and a tithe and an offering, and you don't get it back. Money that you need, but you see someone else that is in more dire of a need, and you give it, and now you suffer. The Lord doesn't always compensate you right away. And that is the true measure of faith. In the story, he got the woman at the end. But what if he hadn't? Sometimes you have to make a choice. Am I going to be faithful to God on the risk of losing this woman? She's going to marry off somebody else? Or am I so bent on the woman I'm willing to forsake God and his instruction? And that's a choice you have to make. Knowing that you might lose the woman. You don't know what's going to happen. You might get her back and you might not. And that's okay. Because for a man whose heart is committed and devout to the Lord 100%, it doesn't matter. Because the price is irrelevant. Any price will do. See, when Abraham wanted to bury Sarah, his wife, he went to Hamor, I think it was Hebron, the cave of Machpelah. And he said, whatever price, it doesn't matter. I want that cave. I'm not here to negotiate for a good price. I want to pay full price to honor my wife. And that is how we ought to conduct ourselves with God, not to look for shortcuts and sales and promotions and coupons, but be willing to pay the full price. Why would you not? He paid the full price for you. He gave his life. He didn't take any shortcuts. He didn't send somebody else to die for him. He gave his own life. He laid his life for you. So why are you not willing to lay down your life for him? To give up the thing that you want above all else. That woman, that gold, whatever it may be. If God is God, the Lord is God for you, and God means simply the thing that you treasure above all else, the thing that you serve and worship and live for, the thing that is over your life. If he is your God, then nothing else matters. Whatever the cost is, I'm willing to pay, gladly, with joy, because I'm doing it for my God. And eventually, of course, we all know we have the faith of the new creation. He will compensate us and will pay us back according to what our deeds deserve. But until then, we are going to suffer. And that's a given. He said it. In this life you shall have tribulation. You will suffer. But take heart, I have overcome this world. Meaning there's something greater on the other side. But until then, it is a measure of your faith, of your trust. Knowing that it's going to cost you. Now that you've given it to someone else, you might not have enough for yourself. And that's the sacrifice you have to make. Out of your faithfulness and obedience to the Lord. So it is a wonderful story. A wonderful account of history. Of a man who sincerely revered God. And because his faith was sincere, like I said, they kept Sunday instead of Sabbath, but they actually treated it as a Sabbath, and the Lord honored them. God is not a tyrant. He's not always looking over your head to catch you when you fall and catch you on every mistake. No, he's a loving father. He wants you to succeed. Which is why he sent that avalanche, not to kill him, but to warn him. Like, well, you're going off, son. You better turn around. He wasn't doing it to the other people because they were not his children. They did not have a fear of God. And that's another point. The Lord chastises his own. Proverbs say, the Lord rebukes his son which he loves. Why would he rebuke someone who doesn't belong to him? Doesn't make sense. You don't rebuke your neighbor's children. That's your neighbor's job. So praise Papa.